Hi, I'm Lucy May Jordan. Welcome to Perpetual Stories, where we talk about why stories end and what that means going forward. Find me at Lucy May Jordan across the board. Today we're talking about Freaks and Geeks. On Saturday the 25th of September 1999 at 8pm, Freaks and Geeks premiered on NBC. Written by Paul Feig and produced by Judd Apatow, Freaks and Geeks is set in Detroit, Michigan, at William McKinley High School, which also happens to be the name of the high school from Glee. Though Glee creators have never confirmed whether the reference was intentional, I don't see how it couldn't be. The show was written to explore life as a teenager in Middle America, where the writer Paul had grown up, separating it from other shows at the time, centering around LA and New York. Set in 1980, Freaks and Geeks centers around a brother and sister. 14-year-old Sam, played by John Francis Daly, and 16-year-old Lindsay, played by Lisa Caladelli. Sam lands comfortably in the geek archetype with his friends Bill and Neil, played by Martin Starr and Sam Levine respectively. The three boys experience bullying, rejection, and the awkwardness of growing up while maintaining a surprisingly mature and emotionally vulnerable friendship between them, compared to how boys were represented in media at the time, and to some extent today. Lindsay represents the freak side of the title. Her character plays a smart, studious girl who experiences the trauma of watching her grandmother die and begins to question her faith and outlook on life, leading her to gravitate towards a group of burnouts whose interests include alternative music, recreational drug use, and a general contempt for authority. Her new friendship includes Daniel, played by James Franco, Nick, played by Jason Segel, Ken, played by Seth Rogen, and Kim, played by Busy Phillips. And if that sounds like a cast that would be stacked for a blockbuster movie, that's because it is. However, at the time, the cast was essentially unknown. The casting team worked hard to find young people who felt like real teenagers and really embodied these characters. Each 45-minute episode explores a variety of themes, including bullying, peer pressure, sex, dating, social status, body image, parental expectations, and divorce. Which, to be honest, is all a bit depressing. But the show's overarching theme was, yeah, bad things happen, you're in high school, it's kind of bad for everyone, you'll get over it. Which is what makes Freaks and Geeks so unique, particularly for the era. It felt authentic. It knew its audience and it was talking directly to them, with little care for anyone else. It also had a unique sense of humour. Freaks and Geeks is genuinely very funny, especially for a 90s network TV show. But its humour has a dark tone. Within the first 10 minutes of the pilot, there's an anti-Christian joke, a sex joke, a magic mushrooms joke, and a Hitler joke, which I'm sure you can imagine alienated a large chunk of the audience that stumbled upon it. However, as a show, its voice was clear. It was a real passion project for Paul and his writing team, many of them using actual high school experiences and misadventures for material for the show. After its pilot, Freaks and Geeks was picked up for 13 episodes, which began airing on NBC at 8pm on a Saturday, which was a massive issue, because the show's target audience wasn't home to watch TV at 8pm on a Saturday. They were out, up to the shenanigans the show was about. The ratings were low right out the gate, and they never improved. Despite this, critics loved it. The New York Times practically gushed over the show, and the people who did watch it grew attached to the characters very quickly. The show was objectively good. It still is. Its writing, casting, slow burn dark humour, and heartfelt moments have all withstood the test of time, and even today it's so watchable. If you can't tell, I have a lot of respect for the show. I really like it. No one said this was an objective video. I think it's great. But what I think is more interesting is its downfall in when it was first aired to its eventual rise to the Hall of TV fame. So let's look at where it went wrong, only airing for its pitiful 13-episode run. Just as it began to air, Garth Anissa, questionable pronunciation from me, took over as president of NBC and made no secret to the fact he was not a fan of the show. He can be quoted saying, to this day, some shows are just not made for network TV. Which to me is a clear example of underestimating your audience, but That's just my opinion. Garth was continually giving writers notes, urging them to give the characters more wins. He wanted a happy ending in every episode. But that wasn't what the show was about. It was trying to create an awkward, realistic, anxiety-inducing view of the reality of being a teenager, which didn't leave a lot of space for triumphant moments. Another issue was the consistency of which the show aired. The network was chopping and changing scheduling like nobody's business, and the 13 episodes aired over 28 weeks. Due to escalating further issues with scheduling, the show was moved from a Saturday to a Monday, which should have been better. However, that meant it clashed with Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, which had premiered on NBC just a month before Freaks and Geeks and was doing incredibly well ratings-wise. Freaks and Geeks' 7 million views was so insignificant compared to the 40 million that were being averaged by Friends and Frasier at the time. And it was cancelled after its 13 episodes. The show's fans and production had to push for the final episodes to even be aired. After the show was sold to FXX to re-air, there was another push from outside influence to have the show more prominence on the network, but NBC wanted it buried. I also think it's worth noting that Garth has commented that he doesn't understand the appeal of a show about kids that go to state-funded schools, which I feel like explains a lot. But that was it was over. The writers shoehorned an ending into the last episode. It wasn't satisfying. It did feel true to the characters because the writing continued to be good. It dotted some of the T's and crossed some of the I's of some storylines, but it wasn't a conclusion because the show still had more to say. It would have had growth with more seasons, not shrunk, but it didn't get the chance to. So what now? Countless TV shows have had one relatively successful season and got cancelled, to topple into TV obscurity, never to be heard from again, other than the depth of mid-tier actors' IMDb pages. But with Freaks and Geeks, that was not the case. There wasn't a particular time, date, or event that caused a Freaks and Geeks resurgence. It just never really left the zeitgeist. It was somewhat caused by the massive success of the actors involved. The casting and production team had worked so hard to find these talented, fresh-faced actors. They made a personal mission to continue to grow their careers, and golly did they succeed. James Franco, Jason Segel, and Seth Rogen are now three of the most recognisable names in TV and films. Their careers show range and longevity, and their ongoing success has caused audience to look back at their past projects, discovering Freaks and Geeks this way. As well as this, the internet and streaming becoming more prominent year by year means new generations have been discovering the show. Watching it, honestly mainly on illegal dodgy websites and downloading video files from Reddit threads. And people still continue to connect with it. People still connect with the characters and the theme and sing its praises. Slowly but surely it's grown to cult classic status, and is to this day regarded as one of the best TV shows of the early 2000s. But I have my suspicions that the cancellation of the show has a lot to do with why it's continued to be a favourite. Because on surface level, people love an underdog. People love the feeling of discovering a hidden gem. A TV show about kids everyone forgets, for kids everyone forgets, that everyone forgot about. It's the same reason people love alternative music, aligning themselves with their favourite bands until they start winning Brit Awards. The same reason people gush over a book series and then roll their eyes when they start making films based on them. Freaks and Geeks never got the chance to be mainstream. It never stopped being cool. I think Rick and Morty is a good example of a show that hit the ground running with a fiercely loyal cult fan base. It felt unique and new. Its quotes and references became a secret language for stoners and self-proclaimed weird kids alike. And then it did the worst thing a show could do to its audience. It gained commercial popularity. It slowly passed through that very thin line between cool and cringy. Don't get me wrong, It's still being made and it's still making money. So as far as TV shows go, it's a complete success. But I don't know if it's still good, because I stopped watching it 4 seasons ago, and so did everyone I know, and that's my point. Which leads me back to Freaks and Geeks. It never got a chance to stop being cool. It's like the Sex Pistols of TV. Giving the world one album, throwing art against the wall, dropping the mic and dipping out, to come what may in its shadow. It never lost its appeal to the cool kids. Even after all these years, it's actually still quite hard to come by. One of the episodes was never aired due to themes of abuse, and it's now counted as lost media. It's almost impossible to find, even in the depth of the internet. Which feels cool and alternative, and it's still connecting with the audience that the show was made for. Don't get me wrong, it does it because the show's good. It's really good. It's well written and well acted, but I don't believe that's the sole purpose for Freaks and Geeks' cult fanbase. I think because it did get cancelled, the fact it never got to have an ending means it's everlasting. It was disregarded by TV executives in a way that mirrors the themes of the show so well, it adds to the experience of watching it. That's why TV shows end matters. Its premature ending sealed its fate as a cult classic in a way I don't think it would have if it got 3 or 4 seasons, because then it would have had the opportunity to get bad. It's odd to be glad that a show that I think was good got cancelled. But in this case, I am. It never got the chance to be uncool. It never got the chance to get bad. And I think that's why it's so highly regarded, even to this day.